Hello. Welcome to Scum and Villainy Echo. This is episode 3. My name is Tom. I use he, him pronouns. I am going to be your games master for this evening. If you have just started watching now, bold choice. I have based this on Sci-Fi television show, so it's possible you missed the pilot and then you come in because everyone's been like, hey, this sounds like a good time. I will introduce you to my absolutely delightful players, and then we'll learn a little bit about what happened in the last couple of episodes. Speaking of delightful players, I am joined by Josh. It's always that issue where I was like, who is this person? Here's this person's name. But Josh, please tell us a little bit about yourself and how your character think the last couple of episodes went.
Hi, I'm Josh. I use he, him pronouns. I am playing Rig, who also uses he, him pronouns, and is I looked at his heritage and not his playbook. There we go, because they're in different places. He's a mechanic, is what he is. A colonist, mechanic, labourer, other things to that effect. He's feeling very happy about what happened. He's made 2 new friends. I mean, they may not agree with the fact that they're his friend, but he's made 2 new friends, and he's managed to get out of the horrible and hot prison, and nobody died. Everybody's certainly safe. I know we sabotaged the air filter system. The shields were an unfortunate complication to that, but everything's fine, I'm sure.
You also made a man's eye explode, but everything's beautiful and nothing hurts.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It's all right.
Speaking. I can't think of a connection.
Speaking of everything hurts.
Speaking of beautiful, weird vibes to introduce my next player. But hi Nat, how are you doing, uwu?
Hi, I'm Nat. I use she, her pronouns. Everything doesn't hurt. Everything's great. Because I'm here playing games with you. Yeah. Notice the difference between when Josh DMs and he's just very insulting to Tom. And Tom was so lovely to Josh there.
Thank you. It's a very strong and different energy.
It's how I express my love.
Yeah. Folks, as we've established, Josh and I play video games together, as does Nat. Nat and I have
Nat is also there.
Nat is occasionally there and we're like, guys, can we just go?
Third-wheeling the bromance.
Well, not really, because Nick's there as well, so
yeah,
it's not really third-wheeling.
We've got a squad. Anyway, my point being, I'm very supportive to Josh. When Josh kills, an important NPC, I'm like, oh dear, that's bad. And then when I accidentally do it, he's like, shouldn't have done that. That's bad. You're being punished. I was like, thanks, Josh. Thanks. Anyway, speaking of lovely people, we are absolutely delighted to introduce you to some of our sponsors and supporters. Now, a massive thank you to our sponsor, Phoenix Dice. Now, if you go to Phoenix Dice and you roll together RPG all in caps when you come in to check out, you will get 25% off your order of your clickety-clack math rocks. I'm turning back again into Tim Curry. It's just every episode I've got to find out we're in spies. Anyway, who did I do that for? That's right, I did that for the D20 Club and our Dice Head patrons. Massive thank you to y'all. For one of your local currency, or I was about to say for podcast listeners, but you've all seen the Nat filters. If you want a fun little side game, always watch to see. If me and Josh are like, oh, usually when Josh is DMing, he doesn't see it, but I'm like, is the thumb coming up? Yeah, the thumb's coming up. Anyway,
it's especially funny when it's in the most intense and sad scenes, and Nat is not looking at the screen and is doing things like this. Not looking, and it just comes up with the bloop, bloop, bloop.
I just have a bad habit of role-playing emotional moments, not just looking down. Yeah. And I can't see what's going on.
Faces get distracting. Anyway, D20 Club, you're amazing. You give us, if you give us one of your local currency or one space goat, which I've established is a goat, just wearing a little helmet, you get to see things like Hey, if you're watching this, you probably are part of the Patreon, and we're grateful for you. If you play at a higher tier, you might also get added content, and we get to find out what's going on in these little noggins of ours. Anyway, we're very grateful. Speaking of grateful, we probably should actually go and work out why Nat's here, but...
I'm taking that as an insult. There we go.
Why?
Tom never insults anybody, and I need to.
Shut your mouth! See, that wasn't even just an insult. That was me just yelling, folks. Let's roll the credits. Welcome back. So, in the last couple of episodes, a prison break occurred at the Isotrope Maximum Security Prison. The prison break was led by a scoundrel, a woman named Angel, and was pretty much facilitated and masterminded, as the press will soon be reporting, by a young man named Rig. The prisoners managed to imprison the guards under the lie of letting them watch the sports, and then promptly blew up the air filtration system and the shields. Their strategy to escape was to steal the shuttle of a bounty hunter who they promptly EMP'd, destroyed his space gun, his laser gun, and also fritzed his eye out as he fell down and yelled. This handsome man was left on this hot desert planet while his bounty, where a woman with a wounded leg, said, "Cheers, but I've got my own plans," and promptly one-legged it out of there. Anyway, the prisoners managed to return to the ship, where they promptly lied to the AI running it. Her name is Echo, and they asked for sausages. They asked for a shower. The characters managed to have a shower and promptly had traumatic flashbacks to the terrible but lovely crimes that they have performed in their past. Rig, in particular, recalling a fiery ghost, almost explaining the terrible burns on his back. Angel, some terrible man, and also the time she bullied a shopkeeper by "I could get you shut down." She played that power. Rig deciding it's only polite to introduce yourself to the AI, went down into the cockpit and was introduced to Echo, who very promptly said, "What is it that humans need?" Rig, being an honest young man, said, "It's oxygen." Echo then opened most of the doors and tried to vent them until it was pointed out that actually they could remove the restraining bolt on this AI. Rig very politely said, "I'm not sure that's a good..." "Okay," and did. Echo then revealed that Echo was not just an AI, but there was some precursor artifact-looking thing in there. Rig said, "I've got one of those. Can you explain?" Echo said, "Yeah, sure, whatever. Go eat your sausages, meatbags." As they were eating their sausages, a call came in over the comms. Echo said it was from call sign Bullfrog. It's a couple of hours later, and we open this episode in the shuttle. The shuttle, as we saw last episode, was damaged. The bounty hunter Brown threw a grenade and damaged the shuttle, but that's not stopping our pseudo pilot as we zoom in at a very confused young man who does not know how to pilot but is doing his best. Rig, why are you the one piloting?
Oh, Angel and Echo thought that it would be a good idea for me to pilot this to go meet this bullfrog person. They said it would give me some worldly experience. I think I overheard them saying about having some peace and quiet as well. To be fair, it is quite quiet here and it is quite peaceful, so it's very nice of them for being that considerate for me.
Speaking of peace and quiet, you've been given location, you've been given coordinates. This is going to take maybe an hour, a couple of hours. The shuttle was refueling the energon cubes while it was in the hangar. Are you going to listen to the radio or anything, or are you just content with your own thoughts while you're traveling?
I might have the radio on in the background, and maybe have the radio on in the background on one side, and then on the other side I've got a how-to pilot podcast on.
A podcast, not a podcast.
Spacecast.
Can you roll a d6 for me, please?
Or what would be the equivalent of YouTube in space? That's a 2.
I'm just imagining just like two guys talking forever, and the topic is supposed to be like fundamentals of flying, but they take 45 minutes because they keep talking about like their favorite seats and the sponsored dangly things that hang from the rearview mirror. And
that is literally what we now just hear. And you're like, well, you've got to understand the Fire Drake is an excellent ship. It does get you where you need to go. Do you know what else gets you where you need to go? Energon Cube drinks. Now, if you use my code and Rig looks, I think, suitably like, I think. Rig, you've kind of got your hands on like the steering, and you're trying like with one hand now just to like go, how do I skip the ads?
So why do all of these new podcasts and VTube videos or whatever? Why do they all have 45 minutes of adverts now before they even get into the episode?
It is also unfortunate that these, indeed, they are VTubers, so they are in motion capture. One of them tried to do a prank, because it's just a prank, bro, and it did go badly wrong. So they did start with an apology for the terrible prank they went, and then ruined it by saying, but that's the problem, people just don't have a sense of humor anymore. I mean, just people don't think it's funny when you go around and like try to overprogram their bots so they say slurs, and then the other guy's like, hey, we don't use slurs, after he has apologized 2 weeks ago for a slur that he said on air. Rig,
there is a really popular one that I should probably watch because it's got the most views. So it's probably the best and most informative one to watch. But it was created by somebody called Hogan Rule, and I really don't want to watch that.
Yeah, Hogan Rule, who also infamously set up like a vlogging house.
can we not bring him into this universe?
But Hogan Rule unfortunately died trying to do a terrible stunt, and that video
killed his brother. It also killed his brother Drake Rule as well.
Well, actually, Drake Rule, no one's quite sure when he's ended up, but he's not in this timeline anymore. He's gone. He's it's just a prank, bro, was his last words. Anyway, what a terrible thing you put into my universe.
You're welcome.
On the other, as you sort of like turn those, I can't even think of nice words. Those men off. You are listening to the radio. It is a mixture of it's sort of scanning through the signal. You're hearing sort of general chatter. What does come over, and because you're still within the vicinity, is a report that the Isotrope maximum security prison has had a prison break. Part of the prison was blown up, believed by terrorists, and various prisoners have escaped. You kind of like listen out, and you're like, my name's not on there. And then you're like, I'm just a guy though. The local authorities are uncertain who exactly it was. They think it's terrorists, but a bounty hunter comes on, and you just hear Ruskin Brown go, I do confess it was a terrible thing. I did my best to stop these most terrible of criminals, and one of them fired a most powerful weapon, blasted the gun right out, and as you can see, took my eye out. And you hear the reporter go, oh, Mr. Brown, that does sound terrible. I know, but in the pursuit of justice, one must take their blows. Is that
Tom,
good?
you promised me this guy was Nathan Fillion, but I hate him.
I could give you a nicer Nathan Fillion. This guy's terrible.
There are characters that Nathan Fillion has played that are horrible. Buffy the Vampire Slayer being one of them.
Also,
Still hot, though.
Dr. Horrible sing-along blog.
Still hot though.
I hate the homelessness problem that the city has. Anyway, yes. I'm sorry, Nat. I'll find you a Tumblr sexy man some other way. Anyway, Ruskin Brown signs off. Rick, you feel a little bit of comfort that, obviously, as I said, your name's not being thrown around, but you've kind of kept your head down for the last few years, and you're just some guy. You're just some guy who, yes, you inadvertently pulled a massive bank heist, doing a hack, but a lot of that was covered up because it's very embarrassing for the banks to admit that I'm sorry, I'm going to be mean, some stupid little junker from middle of nowhere managed to hack their system. It's not you personally, it's capitalism.
He was 21 at the time, so he was 21, considered quite young when that happened.
Yeah, you're just, as far as the story goes around, it was some massive gang, the Ashen Knives or, the Dreadnoughts hacked and stole, and if they hadn't been stopped by the authorities, who knows what would have happened. You got your hand broken and you got thrown in jail for 3 years. Anyway.
There was a slight temptation when that news report was finishing for me for Rig to pick up the communication device and phone in and be like, actually, I did this. But this, like, the briefest of things. It was like, no, don't do that. Angel will be mad.
I think, bless your heart, you kind of go into a daydream about having what that would involve. And, it's almost like a childish cartoon of like things wiggling, and then it's promptly you being thrown back in the desert, and then you're like, ooh, hot, and then you're like, no, and then it just cuts to watching the shuttle explode, and you're like, yeah, okay, maybe that's not cool. That Angel would be. Then you see Angel just throwing you out the airlock. Anyway, you get all these images. Again, as I said, normally I don't tell you what to roll. If you're okay, can you roll Helm, please?
So this is the first time in the episodes that we've done so far where we've had a stat that the character doesn't have, or the player doesn't have a pip in. Yeah. So that is, I believe, roll 2 dice, take the lowest.
Yes.
Because I remember you mentioned it.
I tell you what we could also do. There's 2 things. One, if you want to hack and then see if there was a way you could like automate the ship, or you could take a devil's bargain where I'll give you a D6 to balance it out, but there's going to be repercussions.
I'll go for hack because I've got in my mind that I'm trying to pull up the options menu in the ship, and I'm trying to change the invert axis, and like you do with the controllers and things. I'm trying to change that.
You're one of those guys.
I'm not, but it's the first thing that popped into my head.
As you're sort of like scrolling, and the radio is now playing some sort of upbeat pop, synthesized music, where you're just like, yeah, okay.
I got a 2 and a 3, so I got a 3 for hack.
You're like, you are utterly baffled as a voice in Mandarin starts speaking to you. You're like, I don't know the voice in Mandarin is getting more and more insistent.
How many slots have I got? 1. I've still got my slots from the previous one, haven't I? 1.
Actually, I'll tell you what, you had some downtime.
Yep, so reset.
Yeah.
So I'd say that I don't have the drone or the detonator.
That makes sense.
I probably picked up one of Ruskin's hacking tools or something.
Yeah.
Or repair kit. Repair kit makes sense because I've been repairing the ship as we've been going. So I will take some hacking tools, and I will be looking to try and hack the system to change it into a language I understand.
Sure. As you try, are you just making noises?
Yeah, because I described that the tools that I use are like the Omni tool from Mass Effect. Yeah, it doesn't make any noises when I push the buttons or anything, but I make the noises.
Bullfrog, you are floating in anti-gravity in your stolen ship. You can see like a light flashing, and there's a quite beep as the oxygen is running low. The comms of your stolen ship switches on, and you just hear someone has obviously turned the microphone on and is prattling about. What an energy we're bringing to this episode.
What an energy.
Is it because I'm scared of Rebecca? Yes.
I think before responding to that,
Yeah.
what we find before we get
Yes,
the beeping is sort of floating. If we're imagining a sort of a cinematic shot, it's upside down, just sort of floating, drifting through space. And it is this small shuttle, and in the cockpit is a woman, pale skin, short, spiky blonde hair, sunglasses on. She's got a Hawaiian shirt as well, and a little small bot next to, just on the cockpit in front of her, like boots up on the control panel, aware obviously that the oxygen is running low, so the radio is on. And she's wrapped up in whatever, like coats, blankets, whatever she could find in the storage of this thing, and just kind of hanging out, and has just been like not singing properly along to the radio because that's going to waste oxygen, but kind of mouthing along, kind of.
Again, as I said, it's synthy, it's cool. If you had a chance to watch the music video, again, it's like another VTuber kind of like animated. Like I said, AI, they've done a bit more where they're like, oh, it's an AI, and it's like, it's not. It's some poor singer from a backwater planet that's put together.
But she has done a real good job, and she's put some good effort into it.
She definitely is, and her tell-all memoir, which is going to come out in a few years, is going to make a great like biopic. Yes, so Bullfrog, as I said, like the gravity's starting to go, the oxygen's going, things are beeping.
There's also a cigar, an unlit cigar in her mouth, but it's just, the flavour is still there. You don't have to light it to get the flavour.
Would you consider lighting it when you know it's come to the end? Is that the last thing, or do you just want like the dull taste of?
If I think I think it would get to the point where if the oxygen beeper had been going for a while and I was getting sleepy, then as long as there's enough oxygen to light a cigar, then maybe she would.
I think, without getting too morbid about this, it's that sort of thing of like, and again, like as we see like the introduction to you, I almost feel like we hear the pip bit, and it's like the lighter going on, and you're lifting it up, and again we take you in, we look at that, and then you hear the open comms of someone, as I said,
beep 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 boop beep 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 beep.
Hey,
Rig, the comms is suddenly lit up, and you can see on the waveforms there's someone speaking to you.
I? Boop.
what are you doing? Get over here.
I'm coming. I'm just having a bit of trouble steering.
Oh, for the love of... What are you doing? Tell me, what do you see in front of you?
I see a console which has the buttons that tell me where the ship currently is. It has a rear...
What class ship? What are you in?
I'm in a shuttle.
Can I see out of the...
Yes, Bullfrog, you get up from your seat, and I'm even going to say sort of like, you're like, okay, I can open up like the stop this as you sort of like shift, and you're like, you get yourself like, because hey folks, this is the thing. Like in all good space dramas, everyone travels on like one axis, but he's sort of like, Actually, I'm going to change that. I think, Rig, you've sort of gone horizontal. You started to go vertical.
Oh no, I'm fully upside down.
Yeah, you're sort of like, okay, I've got, yes, the
I'm
shuttle's
fully
up.
strapped in.
Yeah.
My long brown hair is sort of dangling down, and as I sort of look up, I see Nat's character looking up at me, and I'm like, "Hi, boop."
You just Bullfrog
I'm gonna
somehow
actually turn the camera around for effect.
Bullfrog. You're not sure how, but you. In the little bit of Mandarin you hear, it sounds like the shuttle's calling him an idiot. It's just.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Okay, there is gonna be, from the look of the shuttle class, right, sure. There's gonna be a couple of switches, to your, like 30 degrees off of the top point.
Okay, I see them.
A red one and a blue one.
Yeah.
Don't push those. Push the yellow one that's exactly opposite those.
Why did you tell me about those ones if I'm not meant to? Yeah, I'll push the yellow one.
Because there's a load of yellow ones, all right? So you gotta get the one anyway. Okay.
Rig presses the yellow button. Bullfrog, you watch as the shuttle reorientates itself, and then you feel. Actually, no, you feel and you hear like a ping coming through as your shuttle starts shaking a bit. It's starting to sort of track you. So, Rig, when you were getting back to the ship that now is calling itself Echo, you were basically able to hit like a return button. This one is like hooking on and going, new location, we're going that way. As the the Mandarin voice finally stops yelling at you and then settles back, and the radio clicks back on. Rig, and actually, I think I'll tell you what, Bullfrog. Do you just want to roll something to just help steer him in?
Sort of. Okay, well, I'm hoping Helm would be okay for
Absolutely,
remote piloting here.
Yes, I think that's the sort of thing. As you're like, okay, this is a piece of shit, but hold on, let me try this. I can get this.
That is a 6.
But you are one of the great pilots. As you're just like. And again, it's sort of like, hey, not my job to tell you how you're feeling, but you're like, this is the, you had sent out like a distress call, like a generalized, and then this is what's coming. As you look, you're like, oh yeah, that's a Fire Drake shuttle. Okay, this fool probably has got a decent amount of money. Those are quite large ships. They're usually too big to dock on planet, but okay, he's probably got this is one of the pilots. Maybe the previous pilot's dead, or whatever this guy's doing. Maybe they've got a medic. Maybe they've got a chef. Things are looking up. Actually,
This all sounds good. Maybe the kid bought something he doesn't know, and he's skipped out on the lessons, and he's learning on the job. That's fine.
Some teenager for like his 21st birthday, daddy bought him a spaceship and now he's just trying to play hero. Yes, with a 6, definitely. It takes a little bit of time. Maybe time that Bullfrog, you'll be like, I'm not sure I've got that much time. As like the cigar, you're like, is it? But the shuttle's sort of.
Oh, the cigar is out.
The cigar.
The cigar is out. Yeah.
The two shuttles sort of come close to each other, and again, all piloted by Bullfrog, really. Of like, hit that button, connect, and you feel. Yes, Rig, you see something lighting up, and you press it. Yes, and you just open the door, but fortunately you are interlocked as you nearly open the door into space. Bullfrog, you see it flashing. There is an invitation to open your door. You bother checking and being like, yes, we have interlocked. The two shuttles are interconnected.
Great. Is there anything else on this shuttle that is worth taking with me?
So this is someone's personal shuttle. It is, hate to break it, it's blue. It's sort of like a metallic blue. This was mostly used for back in the prison. This was like a warden's shuttle. I think I described it as like it's like a car. It shouldn't have really been going into orbit, but this is something
Worth a
like
try.
it's worth a try. It's much better than anything else you had. It's someone's personal vehicle. There is a small like kitchen. It's not huge, but there's like a little kitchenette kind of thing. You tore apart the bed to give yourself like the blanket. There's a first aid kit. There's a selection of mints. There's a half done sort of like,
Take them.
yeah. As you sort of pick up, you're like, there's a puzzle magazine. There's a sort of like you were like,
The puzzle magazine has been decimated. Like,
yes.
I've done them all.
You had a lot of time of just floating here in outer space. Is there anything? Are you just trying to like loot, or is there anything in particular you're like that would be quite useful?
Yeah, I mean, if it's like someone's car, if they've been an idiot and left the equivalent of a credit card in there, or maybe there's some delightful old-fashioned CDs.
I tell you what, roll me a luck check. So just roll d6.
3.
There are a few sort of. I think because we've been saying credits, so there's like credit chips that you sort of look and you're like, okay, that's probably. I would say like for us as sort of UK players, you've probably got like 50 quid maybe.
Yeah.
Sort of like there's some,
Not
you know,
dismiss
it's
that.
it's sort of like this will probably buy you a good few meals and stuff. There is also some sort of there's music. Everything seems to be on chips, but that sort of thing of like you're like, oh, actually, there's a few like CDs and there's some old rock and there's a few sort of bluegrass kind of things, and you're like, okay, that's not. If I, do you think? Hey, before you got arrested, do you think you had like a music player, like a sort of Walkman?
Oh, yeah. Well, like a Walkman, no. There would have been one in the ship.
But so that's the sort of like.
Wait, no, little Sal.
Little Sal.
Little Sal can play them.
Perfect. Little Sal kind of like lights up a bit and sort of like,
For audiences, we discussed
I was
this
gonna
before, but I
describe,
didn't actually describe. Before, little Sal looks kind of like, is it BD-8? No, that's BB-8.
BB-1.
BB-1 from the Jedi Survivor game. Like, it's just that little, like, eyes, two little boop, boop, boop legs, and various little flappy bits and slots for stuff.
Sort of like gets it, and I say like sort of like opens a little hatch. You put it in, and so it looks up you with its big round eyes. Do you want some music?
Oh no, not right now. Just for later.
Whistles and gives like a. Actually, we've been saying BB-1, like BB-8, a little lighter comes up, gives you the thumbs up, and goes there, and then kind of flinches, and then it's like, oh, oxygen. Yeah, okay, sort of nods. So, Bullfrog, you can now open. You've done a rummage, Rig.
Yeah.
Just, Rig,
While Rig was doing that, I was like sort of shouting instructions to Rig while grabbing what I can, and then I'm waiting by the door for him to hit it his side.
Rig, you hit the button.
Boop.
Boop. As I said, door opens. You two see each other, and I don't think this is the first time you've ever seen each other. As you're both like, you got out.
Huh.
I recognise you. I don't know your name though. I'm sorry. I'm Reek.
You can call me Valeri. I kicked your ass at poker the other night.
Oh yeah, I'm not very good at poker.
No, you're not. Anyway, well done. Nice attempt. Never pilot again, but we'll get there.
Yeah, I wanted to learn, but I need somebody to show me. I'm better at fixing things than I am
Great,
at
good to know.
piloting things.
Has just like been, as soon as the doors open, has been walking through to the cockpit of the shuttle.
That's a nice little shuttle there. It looks more like a.
Oh no, it's a heap of junk.
Oh, okay. It looks more like a surface-based one. We could take it with us.
I mean, you can. It got fritzed on the way out.
I could probably fix it.
You both aware, like, it's trying to equalize the oxygen between the two shuttles. So
Shut the door.
yeah, shuts it down.
Ooh.
Yeah, it comes.
Yeah,
it
get
comes
in.
very, yeah,
Yep, sorry.
I think Bullfrog, you sort of go over and start sort of like, okay, we're disengaging. You know, sort of like, Rig, she's taking over. You know,
Sure, you do what you like, kid.
yeah,
We've left it behind.
yes. As this thing,
Yep, that's
just,
fine. I'm happy with that. I just sit down in one of the back seats and sort of strap myself in, and I'm just watching everything that you're doing.
Rig, you sort of look down. There is a small bot just looking up at you with like big eyes. Just looks at you.
Hi.
Little appendage waves back at you, and then sort of like points to like where its head is, and like cocks its head.
Oh, that's little Sal. She wants to know if you want any music.
Yeah, can do. That'd be nice. Thank you very much.
Little Sal bounces, and you just hear sort of like the plunking of like banjos as it starts. She has decided she wants to play the bluegrass CD. So very very appropriately, as we're in a space western, as we hear the sound of like of bluegrass as the yes Bullfrog. You. Again, I don't necessarily think you need to roll because there is the like return to main ship thing, unless you're really thinking about stealing this shuttle. But you know,
Well, it's not stealing. I've been sort of given it, right?
yeah. So
Sweet young boy who doesn't know how to pilot it.
Yeah.
Hey, look at me. I'm a
Yeah.
pilot.
as you,
Guess I better be the one in charge, huh?
yeah. Please roll helm, I guess. You know, just like.
Is
Again-
it a difficult thing though? Is it
no,
not
no,
like
this is
a
simple.
fire
This is-
drake shuttle is a fairly it's
Standard,
not rare, right?
No. This is. I'm not making you roll for the difficulty of piloting this because it's simple. This is more if there's going to be repercussions for
Sure.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's another 6. The
Absolutely.
roll together dice today are doing well for me.
Much appreciated.
You can get them from phoenixdice.com.
Pixsize.com. Put Roll Together RPG in the.
Here comes our 45 minutes ads.
Hi, do you like Roll Together? Hi, I'm not Logan Paul. I'm dead. But anyway, yeah, no, God, just imagine if we got him sponsoring us. What a terrible time we would have. Anyway, focus. You get a 6. Absolutely no issue whatsoever. You also very wisely were like, cool, I'm going to like disconnect some of these wires from the shuttle you left behind, as some poor warden is like hitting a pad. He's like, I'm sorry, it's just I can't get it. And the chief warden's like, well, clearly one of the prisoners stole that shuttle. Actually, like, there's quite a bit of money in there. Why did you leave money in your shuttle if you're working in a prison, you utter dullard? Go stand in the corner. And he's like, what? And he's like, you heard me. Stand in the corner. He's like, I'm not a child. Well, you're acting like one. Go stand over there. I'm sorry. Mr. Brown, I understand. You know, you can never get he's got an eye patch. You can never get the staff. I can tell you that your prisoner, if that is who I think it is, was one of the most ingenious little escape artists. The warden stands up and he's like, yes. He's like, I'm not finished. I think... With all due respect, Mr. Brown, I do think you are finished. Anyway, we've put an APB out on the various prisoners that have managed to escape. As we pan over, as we see various pictures, but very definitely and conveniently put on the top row, Angel, Rig, and Bullfrog.
Damn, my thing didn't work for that long.
Oh no, they know you're gone because they've done a check of the prisoners, and they're like, you know, there's about a dozen or more prisoners that have definitely escaped. Possibility some of them have run into the desert and will either come back or not, but you three, no one's seen the credit. They don't think the guards blew up the prison. You tried. They don't know it was you, but they definitely know you're not there. So
Oh, there's definitely someone who knows that that Bullfrog is missing because these were not her cigars.
what an interesting thing to think about.
I also erased our records, not bullfrogs, but I erased our records from the prison system.
Yes, you deleted it from the prison system.
But not people's memories.
Yeah. Also, from
Damn
the
meat bags. Remembering me.
remember me. Actually, I think as we look at the as Bullfrog, whose cigars are those?
Well, I put it to you, Tom, that I imagine whilst incarcerated, Lil Sal was not allowed to be kept with Bullfrog.
You're correct.
So, in escaping in the carnage, Bullfrog would have had to have gone to the lockup to collect Lil Sal. And there would have been people on the way there that she would have had to have snuck by or dealt with.
Let's quickly see that. As the alarm's going off, Bullfrog, you've been in the maximum security prison for a couple of months now. You've relatively kept your nose clean. You have had the weekly poker game where you have rinsed the right people and folded for the people who were too muscular and would probably try and throw you down some stairs. You're making a decent living. Rig, I don't know. You rinsed Rig a couple of days ago. You might have had a minor conversation. Rig is a man who can mend things and repair things. You know that he's also capable of creating radios, shortwave radios. So you could definitely, other people can get the sports, and some people are trying to use it as comms. It's up to you if you want to use that as, but on the whole, you're not having, this is not a great prison, but there are a lot worse out there. You're serving your time.
I'm greasing the right wheels to stay on the right side of the wrong people.
And that night you had gone back to your cell, kind of like doing the scratch off where you're just like, your cellmate she likes quiet and had gone, as you sort of sat up there with your own thoughts, as suddenly and without any explanation, the doors of the cell blocks just opened, and at which point, your cellmate wakes up and goes, what? I think you see people running out. There's cries of, the guards aren't here, the guards aren't here. This is an opportunity. Bullfrog, you're smart. Everyone has a plan of how they're going to escape. Here's the time to put it into action. And as you said, you're running down a corridor. As you said, you're either going to fight your way out or you're going to sneak. How do you get to the lockup? What is your strategy to not get shot?
It's definitely going to be scrappy. She's not the most stealthy, so it's going to be trying to use the chaos to her advantage. Sort of when there is a sort of a group running, she'll sort of join the group to not be sort of seen on her own, and then try and use that as a means to sort of travel down that bit of corridor and then sneak off another way to try and get to the lockup. And if she ends up against like a single lone guard, we'll go for a punch up, grab whatever's nearby to use.
Delightful. Would you like to make a risky roll?
Sure. I'm gonna roll scrap, please.
Please do.
Oh, okay, that's a 4.
Do you want to take 2 stress to push it up to 1 to 5, or it's a success, but it's a lower success.
Yeah, I'll bump 2 stress to take it to 6.
Delightful. I think as we're sort of like montage quick cutting, you see as the guard sort of rather unmajestic, like slams you against the wall, and you're like, and you're like, yeah, and they have a billy club, and they're trying to choke you out, but in your hand, you get hold of their taser and just able to,
and then club to the face
straight.
to finish them off.
You now, if you want to take the taser, if you want to take the billy club, you can. I mean, sort of. It's
I'll
weapons.
take both.
Yep. Sort of mentally put that in your. You're hurrying down. As you said, everyone's sort of running around. I'm going to say because you managed to do that. Like anyone else who comes, like, I don't think anyone has a real argument with you. But some people are like, "Oh, here's an opportunity for me to." You just, you are.
Wait, guards or prisoners?
Prisoners mostly.
Don't waste your time with me. Get out.
Yeah. Just so like, sorry.
I won't tell if you won't.
You're a good lass. And just this very large, like, muscular guy. Stop. He will later be accused of terrorism by Rick. Actually, probably around this sort of time when, Rick is setting up stuff and being like, cool, hacking. He's not a nice guy, but weirdly is very focused and also has his... No, Rick's a fine guy. Rick's a little sweetie at the moment. This guy's not nice. This guy wanted to probably kill everyone, but was also convinced with, hey, don't waste your time. Anyway, Bullfrog, you managed to get to the lockup. It looks like someone has already been here, sort of smashed in the glass, opened the door. 2 lockers are already sort of stripped. You very quickly look down at your orange jumpsuit. There is AV4242, and you're just like, yep. Difficulty now because you're like, that locker is locked.
I have a club.
Okay, please roll beating up Scrap.
I have a club card.
Yeah.
I have a club card. That's 2 4s.
I'm gonna, if you're happy with that, I'm gonna say you've just
Motherfucker! God, oh, Sal, I'm coming.
You hear a tiny Sal. They didn't switch Sal off all these months.
No.
He's been like, if we looked from, like, I think we really quickly cut in as 2 tiny lights come on and get lighter, and then boop, boop, and then
Stay in low power mode.
And curls back into himself. You smash. I can safely say you're making a lot of noise, and the club does shatter. Just snaps in half. Where you're like, oh, stupid, cheap. Your locker flies open. You can see a tiny little Urbot whose eyes are still sort of like tiny little pinprick dots, and are getting bigger with excitement. But like a child who's like, oh no, I am asleep. It's very clearly peeking.
Yeah, don't get too excited. We need to get out of here first.
Little.
Clip. I'm going to clip her to my my jumpsuit.
A little Sal, just I'm going to say she goes on vibrate mode temporarily, so you just feel like this is why I was hesitating. You just feel like a cat purring, just a really quick, yay. Just there's a little Bullfrog there. You have all the stuff that you had when you were arrested a few months ago, including your own clothes. So obviously, they haven't been laundered. They've just been sitting there for the last few months.
I mean, that's fine. They probably weren't laundered that much beforehand anyway.
Do you have a coat?
No. It's impractical to wear a coat when you're in a pilot seat. It gets in the way.
Yeah. So you sort of you're able to... Again, I'm just asking a random question. Did you have a rucksack or a bag when you got arrested?
Yeah, like a satchel bag.
Satchel. You could stick your clothes in. Yes, you've got your stuff, and you're like, right, okay. you need to get out of here. You you have like, okay, think. Where would be? You need a shuttle. A shuttle get you off world. Let's. Again, because we're thinking about timing. You don't get lost, but you have enough time to be like, oh god, there's a goddamn riot going on.
Yeah.
You're looking
If they've
at
blocked off certain key corridors with carnage, so I have to go around the long way.
you go around the long way. You get to a hangar. There are a few bodies. It looks like to just like as you quickly sort of like go past it, it's like, hey, this gang tried to get out and then turned on each other. That man is dead. That man is dead. But you then clock eyes. There is a blue little shuttle, and you're like, it's a piece of shit, but it's better than nothing. You've got people you need to see, and you can't be out here in the desert. You just, again, as we sort of like we think about timing. I'm happy to whether you're going to roll. We're going to roll this into generally getting into the shuttle, getting the shuttle working. So, what would you like to? Mm-hmm. It could be helm if you want.
Yeah, I think we'll go helm.
Yeah.
And there's probably a little bit of it's a helm roll, but there's a little bit of rig in there as it's sort of like hot wiring.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Oh no. I'm gonna push myself. Because that was a 2.
Oh shoot! Are you going to push yourself to a 6, or are you just?
It's like to be 4 stress to take me to a 6.
Yeah.
What if I take myself to a? Because 4 and 5 are both mixed success, right? They're the same outcome.
Yeah.
What if
4's like worse mix.
Okay.
Sort of like going. You're definitely going to succeed, but there's going to be a scale.
What would a devil's bargain look like?
Interesting. This is the first time anyone has actually been ever so brave.
Cowards.
Absolute cowards. I'm coming for you. Please don't tell Rebecca. She'll be ever so mad. So a devil's bargain is basically you do get that extra dice, but I will make you pay for it later down the road. So.
That's such a vague devil's bargain.
By taking your gravity away.
Well, again, like the repercussion already has been, there's a limited amount of oxygen in this thing. So it would be, if you are doing it, it is very simple that someone's going to damage the oxygen where you're like, cool, I thought I could get further. It's limited. Other devil's bargain, people are going to see you leaving and be like, well, you recognise the poor chump who's lost his shuttle would be like, oh, who took it? And they're like, one of the prisoners is like, I know it's her. Or you could just risk it for a biscuit.
Oh, well, actually, the other thing that I meant to bring up, the roll before where I was scrapping the guy, that was a risky roll, wasn't it?
Yes.
So I rolled a 6 on that.
You did. You got a gambit.
So I got a gambit.
Yeah.
So I can spend I can spend that to get a free roll.
You get a free D6 without me doing anything wicked.
That's a 5. So I will take that.
You managed to hack into, just the proverbial coat hanger in the window. Kind of, yeah.
Okay, Sal, less low power mode now. You can get involved. Come on.
As little Sal springs up and the little flamethrower, a little blowtorch, and then little wire snakes out. 1, 2, 3, 4.
When did you learn to count?
No, it's speaking through the. It's the plugging itself in. That's the passcode that it's reading out. 1, 2, 3, 4. As you, but it's through little cells, not amazing speakers.
I'm sorry. The passcode is 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
Okay, sure, fine.
Boop, 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 boop. As the doors open, Bullfrog, you do indeed get out. The power's up, and you're like, Oh,
Can I just retcon
yes.
one little thing? Is
By all means.
the guy that I beat up in the corridor was an asshole of a guard who was particularly like an ass to me
Yeah.
during my time there, and he was the one that I took both the cigars and the sunglasses from.
So, folks, in the first episode, there were a bunch of guards who were all going to go, oh, we're going to the sports game. And then they were like, this one guy whose name is Brad.
It's Krell. It's Krell.
It was Krell. It was Krell.
Krell.
Krell has a personal beef against Rig, and Rig has also framed him for terrorism. That's... I mean, they don't think it wasn't Krell, but Krell has definitely not been seen in the hours since the prison break. He's just, you need to ask questions. You need to ask important questions, and he's definitely corrupt. It was established that he took bribes. The fact that Angel said, hey, we'll give you money not to be around, that's come up. Also, that Rig was walking around using Krell's ID, so it looks... Actually, I think Krell has definitely been arrested, and is not a problem anymore. Because there's nothing better than when you put a former guard in the prison with the prisoners.
Oh, he's had a really bad day.
Poor idiot. Yes. So you do take off, and you're just like, oh shit. Okay. The shields. How am I gonna? At which point the shields go down. You feel the vibration, and you just go, oh, okay, someone's blown up. You know what? Not a bullfrog problem. Let's go. You
Get out of here and deal with it later.
You hit the jump button as the shuttle goes, and you're just like, oh god, okay. I mean, this isn't as swanky as your former ship. Even that was, put together. That was made with love, and this is someone's just driving. Again, Tom doesn't know enough about cars, but this is just not even like a reliable brand of car. This is just someone's like he's on a warden's thing, Anyway, this was about a day ago, and as we said, you got so far, and then the ship started puttering, and you just sort of looked at it, and like because it's the 5, it was that this guy was like, oh yes, no, I'm going to go get it checked out, but you to your utter frustration, you watch as the bit of duct tape comes off the flashing light, and you're just like, oh, this guy, as you're like, as the NG, and that is the point where things happen, and you put out a distress call. You give your name as Bullfrog. What would your distress call be that would have been picked up by the ship now known as Echo?
I think it would have been a something that's slightly coded. So the authorities wouldn't necessarily pick it up. It's going to be like oh, golly gosh, I sure hope you have a lovely day from Bullfrog. It's going to be something like that, but it would be something that the various gangs that she's had dealings with would recognize as a call signal, and probably Ruskin, because he's a bounty hunter, would be wise to that kind of essentially thieves' cant.
Yeah.
Which is why Echo actually picked it up as a distress call. That's
exactly where space is cold, space is horrible. You never ask people to have a lovely day. So the fact that you're like, this is a code for, yes, gang member in distress, come collect, and you sort of like, you're smart. You've got vague idea of the coordinates of where you are, and being able to like put out the beacon. It's a very, if you're in the know as a pilot, it's quite simple to be able to track it. Unfortunately, Rig does not. Rig can fix the ships. Rig does not know how to pilot the ships, which has resulted in Rig having to watch that terrible VTuber. Folks, as as indeed we're sort of coming to the end, and credit to Josh for being able to sit through what has been a flashback episode. We see as the shuttle begins approaching. So like, well, we've got a couple of minutes. So like, do you two talk to each other at all as you're traveling?
I've been singing to Sal playing the music, playing the beat. I've been singing.
Little Sal is doing a little
Going,
boogie.
take my love, take my land, take me where I cannot stand.
Oh no, that's copyright.
I don't care, I'm still free. You can't take the sky from me.
Little Sal rolls her eyes, sort of taps the side of it as it skips to the next track, and then kind of goes.
Oh.
It plays a bluegrass version of Tequila. That's just
we both dock into Echo and go tequila.
That's it. As it over. Hey, actually, the party got started.
Yeah,
you know?
I would have at some point along, because it's not just a 5-minute journey; it's an hourish back, right? Yeah. There will have been singing, but Bullfrog will have now. Oxygen is secure. Will have relit the cigar. And then as we're flying, would have been like, okay, so whose ship actually is it then?
Mr. Brown's.
You the captain?
He's on the planet. We sort of took it from him.
You stole it. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
well, we wanted to get out, and we knew my friend Angel knew that they had a ship, so we stole this shuttle, and now we're stealing the ship.
right, so Angel's in charge.
As far as Rig knows, yes.
Yeah, pretty. Actually, it's between Angel and Echo.
Okay, who's Echo?
Echo is the AI that lives on the ship.
Huh.
I think they're an AI. They're like an AI.
Okay, well, maybe Sal and I can have a chat with them, but what's your plan now? I mean, I'm very appreciative of you coming to get me and all, but if your plan was to fly
we definitely
away
need a
from
pilot.
here?
We definitely need a pilot, and we're incredibly lucky to have bumped into you. We're looking to go to the planet Warren. I can't remember which system it's in, though.
Oh, Warren's in the Rin system.
Yep.
That's the one.
I can get you there.
Being told that, Rig, you having a vague understanding of that's like the other side of the galaxy. That's going to take a bit of time, but also Bullfrog, Brown, Mr. Brown, Master Brown, sounds. God, it's one of his bounty hunters.
Yeah.
You also would have heard like the scuttlebutt that like a big fancy bounty hunter was coming to the prison with a special prisoner. So you're just like, oh, all right. I mean, once again, not telling you your thoughts, but you'll be like, cool, target.
Yeah. Well, that's a mighty ambitious plan you got there, stealing a big shot bounty hunter's ship and then running away, especially with the AI still intact on it. Have you been working on that at all?
Well, the AI didn't like him. Actually, was quite sad that we didn't kill him. So it seems to be fully on our side. Well, kind of. They did try to space us at one point, but we seem to have come to an understanding.
Well, fair enough. I mean, I was gonna suggest I have my own little ship, but it's risky to pick up, but also kind of out of the way. I love that ship.
We could go get. Do you know where your ship is?
Yeah, but if you're trying to get to the Warren, it's kind of out of the way. So if this is a bit of an upgrade, if we can get on with the AI.
Yeah, I've promised to do some repairs on the ship for them, so some physical repairs to it. So, because the previous owner was not very kind, so I believe that it needs some proper TLC, and that is exactly what I'm going to do because that's my favourite thing to do. So, other than technology, I love technology.
Ain't you adorable?
I have been told.
As you're saying this, you can see the red copper outside of the Firedrake brand ship. I think, Rig, for the first time you sort of witness it. Written on the side is powerless, and you're just like, oh, okay. I think for Rig, you're like, oh, that's a cool name. Bullfrog, you're just like, oh, okay, that's not a cool name for you. You know, oh, I'm going to give you a bit of like old world history where you'd be like, cool, that was from old Earth. He's named his ship after like a famous ship, but wherever this brown guy is, he's, it's pretentious.
At least it's not called the Enterprise.
Yeah, who names their ships after old ships, huh?
Huh. So, folks, as we come to the end of this episode, the shuttle docks in the ship that has now, well, to all purposes is known to the world as the Powerless, but is pretty much now Echo, as Echo commands. You watch as the hatches open, the shuttle for Bullfrog kind of pilots itself that wherever and lands. You watch as the arms come up and begins charging. You think, oh, cool, a charging port. Would have been really nice if the other one had bothered actually. The idiot who on that prison just didn't park it properly, just didn't put it in the. Ugh. But anyway, so as we come to the end, you both step off. You hear over the tannoy, "Welcome back, Rick. How was your journey?"
It was good. I made a new friend. Two
Hello.
new friends, actually.
Hey.
Dot. Delightful. Hello, new friend. Are you hungry? Do you need to bathe?
Yes and yes. Very polite of you. My name's Bullfrog.
Nice to meet you, Bullfrog. My name is Echo. Welcome to me. I will begin heating up the water. Do you like sausages? We have a lot of sausages.
Hey, anything's gonna be better than what they had us eating in the old prison down there.
I wouldn't know. It clicks off.
Oh, Echo, before you go,
Yes.
is there anything we can do about the name on the side of the ship? And maybe the colouring of the ship as well?
Do you wish to have me repainted?
Well, I just thought it might help with the disguise of us getting away. And plus, the ship isn't called Echo, and you are the ship. So it makes... If you want the ship to be called Echo, of course, then let's get it changed to Echo. And if you want to have the choice of what colour your paintwork is, then I can certainly help with that.
Good boy, Rick. I think this is going to work out. Welcome, Bullfrog. We will prepare a shower. Unfortunately, you will be having to rest with Rick. There are only limited beds, and Angel has currently taken the captain's cabin. Maybe you could do something about that and get better beds. Not my problem. Anyway.
Oh,
welcome.
Bullfrog, I will give you your personal space. I think I might stay in the engine room, actually. I quite like... No, I think
Okay, sure.
I think it would be a bit intrusive of me if I stayed in Echo's chamber.
Bullfrog's already walking.
You've walked off and I'm just stood there just looking at the floor talking still.
I mean, you hear sort of like much quieter. I mean, if you want to hang out with me, Rick, you just have to ask.
Can we hang out, please?
Yes, come. I will start putting in new ideas of where you can go to get me repainted, and then we can, I don't know, chill.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go get my bed in and I will bring it to your chamber.
You just hear Angel going, stop talking to her and just come on, do your job.
Yeah.
Bullfrog, welcome to the ship.
It's gonna go so well.
As you just have, I think as the bathroom door closes and you just have a moment of like, because hey, you just nearly died. It's just like little Sal's like, and then some.
Get out of the shower.
hits the side of her head again and starts playing like your playlist, your like shower playlist, which I think is a mixture of like upbeat and also like really like. So as we go into the credits, as you just like thank you everybody for joining us for episode 3 of Scum and Villainy. Echo, if you have enjoyed the kind of chaos that we've had some world building, we had some basically libel, look, we can't prove that either of those people got sucked into a time vortex. It hasn't happened yet, or will. Anyway, if you have enjoyed it, talking of time, we play Dungeons and Dragons on Twitch at twitch.tv/RollTogetherRPG. That's 6 p.m. UK time on Tuesdays. We either have non-D&D games, we have maybe a live show, maybe we have a talk show, we mix it up. So as I said, that's Tuesdays, 6 p.m. If you want to catch up on what you have missed, we're at youtube.com/RollTogetherRPG. We have literally hours worth of content, so good luck.
Hundreds of hours at this point.
Hundreds. I don't know if we're getting to thousands, but
Someone run the stats.
Statistician. Just again, like Star Trek, so I was just hitting some buttons and going, oh look. Big thank you to our D20 Club and Dice Heads on Patreon. If you're currently watching this, possibly you are a patron, and we do massively appreciate you. Thanks to our patrons, we have a wiki, we have a Discord. So if you want to talk about how very good I am at keeping my hands on the tiller of a ship, then you can just say, well done, Tom, you clever boy. And I'll say, weird energy, but I'll take it. Anyway, all those links, we're on YouTube at the moment, so the links are down in the chat. If you are enjoying us on YouTube, please do give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies. I mean, sort of, just because you don't like them doesn't mean they don't like little robots. Anyway, big thank you to the sponsors and the supporters. All over social media, Roll Together RPG. Thank you ever so much for watching. If you get a chance, stay classy in space. Spice! Anyway.
Spice!
Just to confirm, about 1,900 hours on YouTube.
Booyah!
Oh.
Bye.
Bye.